to the city overall?
Okay. I think I've always had an interest in public service. Attended the University of Missouri and got degrees in both history and political science. And I've always kind of been involved with civic activity. Through our Lee Summit 360 committee, one of the things that in our local government KPA was actually civic involvement in pushing that out. One of the things we started was the Citizens Leadership Academy, which I'm currently doing. And this felt like the right fit at the time when the opening was there. In terms of serving my district versus serving the city overall, I think by serving the citizens of District 1, I will do the city the best overall job that I can do.
Great, thank you. And I'd like to remind the audience and our candidates that Thursday morning, these interviews will be available on the internet at excellenceinls.com. So feel free to speak to the audience or directly into the camera or wherever you're comfortable. But if you're going to be on the World Wide Web very soon. Question number 2. What do you see as the next major challenges or priorities for Lee Summit, and give us your vision for meeting them?
I think overall, there are many economic development and redevelopment challenges that will occur in the city. I think one of the best ways to face those issues really is to open our eyes to the world. Sometimes we get caught in Lee Summit is just Lee Summit and we're the only city that exists. I think one of the things that we can do in the issue of light rail, for example, this transportation study, is to look outside of Lee Summit. What are the other areas doing? What's going on regionally? What's going on as a state? And where do we benefit from those things best?
Very good, thank you. As Lee Summit's population grows to 100,000 and beyond, how would you ensure that appropriate infrastructure and continued public safety issues are met?
The council, as the governing entity's job, is to look for the infrastructure improvements, work with city staff, and try and address all of those issues as we go forward. Once that city hits the 100,000 mark, there'll be new federal guidelines that we have to follow, including water, sewer, storm, things that really will have to be approached. So there'll be times that we'll be looking at issues where there may be tax increases, bond issues, ways to move money in the budget to address those issues.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Given the volatility of property taxes and other municipal income challenges, how would you propose to diversify the city's revenue base or appropriate expense reduction to ensure sustainment of current services to all of our citizens?
I think one of the best things, there are a couple things that we could do there. Obviously, continuing to encourage commercial and growth and development would be one way to do that. Taking that tax base off the residential back a little bit more. Another thing that might be comfortable for citizens is to actually work to stabilize their property values as Jackson County continues to go through their assessments. Keep properties clean. Let's look at a rental management or some kind of rental program in the city where we register rental homes. Let's get some landlords, let's get some tenants together. What can we do to help stabilize those things?
Thank you. What is Lee Summit's role in supporting and expanding cultural arts in our city?
To this point, the city's already taken a very active role with the web study, looking at what does cultural arts mean to Lee Summit, what might it mean in the future, and how does that help Lee Summit. In terms of economic development and growth, the study shows that there are several areas that could be helped by that, and I think the city's role really is to, the mayoral appointed task force now is currently looking at what should some of the first things out of that study be. And I think the city's role is to take a look with what that citizens group comes up with and help champion that.
Thank you. And you know, we wouldn't be complete without an airport question. What is the next step in the continued development of the Lee Summit Airport?
The next step, as I understand it, is we're actually currently awaiting the next level of funding to get the next level of groundwork done. I believe Mr. Zada had mentioned recently that he had a meeting coming up soon with the new Director of Aviation for the state of Missouri. And I think after that we'll have a little bit more direction, but I think that's where we are currently with that.
Thank you. What approach and/or strategic partnerships would ensure a sustainable commercial and residential redevelopment? And then the second question, what and when would economic incentives be appropriate?
I think an open-minded attitude towards economic development and redevelopment is probably the best approach to that. Have developers come into us, let's sit down, let's take a look at what they're proposing. I'll roll that into the incentive part of that, is that we can't be afraid to look at incentives. We should look at each situation. Does it fit? Does it make sense? Is this a reasonable incentive? Or is a developer coming with a crazy plan that doesn't make sense for us, or where the city doesn't win? So I think that would be the best way to go about it.
Thank you. What is your position on the pending bond issues on the upcoming November ballot?
As I understand it, those issues aren't 100% set in stone yet. Waiting for the results of that mayoral task force on the cultural arts. And I believe also, Mr. Arbo had said there was some bonding and possibly left there at the end. So I assume that would probably be capital improvement projects by the time that's said and done. But the cultural arts piece, I for sure am very excited to see what that committee comes up with and how we as a city can go forward championing those things.
Very good, thank you. Please state why you believe the voters should support you as a candidate, and state what you would most like to accomplish during your term.
I think I have the time, the energy, and the commitment level to serve the city and the citizens of the First District. In terms of a specific goal, I really want to just continue making our city a great place to live, and perhaps in some way making it an even better place in the future.
And the final question, as our city continues to become more diverse, what approach should City Council take to capitalize on its many benefits?
This is something where the current Human Rights Commission would be a good opportunity for the city to not only use it just for an MLK Day celebration, but to help use the people sitting on that committee to charge them to come up with more events, more ways to reach out, and more ways to incorporate the people of the community.
Thank you, Mr. Binney. That concludes